calculated. It's all the energy that goes into food. Agriculture, tractors, combines, transporting we have milk that we transport from the Netherlands down to Greece, and then we take the yogurt, back to, I don't know, Sweden, and then we put in the raspberries, which came from Africa, and this is the craziness in the food system. And now when you do this calculation, and it's very hard to stay away from that. You are not in charge of where your milk is coming from, or where the milk for your cheese came from, unless you know who produced that, unless you buy right at the producer. So this is the typical situation. That means riding on brown coal electricity on a bike is 3 to 4 times as CO2 efficient than riding on food. This is scary. And most people don't believe these numbers. Well, if you can prove them wrong, I'll be happy. But now, let's say somebody wants to be really good. Get rid of everything. Only get organic potatoes straight from the farmer. Well, if you are on a 100% potato diet, and you probably will die if you are on such a diet, because you will miss a lot of crucial parts that the body needs. Yes, you can beat brown coal. You're down to 4 grams. But brown coal is not the reality. We have an energy mix. If you go for the energy mix, well, you're pretty much the same. Just living on potatoes is the same like taking energy from the grid today. And let's try to beat that with bread, because potatoes, you can live on bread maybe like when you're in prison, so bread and water would be okay. But with bread, you're worse. So there's a lot of uncertainty in there. But this is roughly the size of the game that you play. Now, we are the Society for Renewable Energies. If you take renewable energies, you are down at 0.3 grams of CO2 now. Try to beat that with bread. You can't. And I will summarize it this way. The right-hand side, this is where we are going to. As I've shown you, we want to have 47% in 2020 renewable energy. And we will get 100% by 2030. I'm absolutely convinced. Maybe even by 2025, because speed just goes up dramatically. So that's the future. Living on bread? Is that the future of mobility? I'm talking about bread. So no butter, no jam, no wine, no nothing that makes life fun. So whatever you take from this comparison, I think the main argument that we try to make is, do not be afraid of electricity. When we have mobility, we could, you could put some shelter on the bike, so those are the light electric vehicles, and there's a lot of different approaches how mega cities will have mega transport in the future. And when we talk about vehicles, we like to think in these terms like race cars and what have you. Yes, everything is possible. Size doesn't matter, as you could say, for electric mobility. From the train that is carrying, let's say, 1,000 people, down to the bike that only carries 1, or in Asia maybe 5 people, everything is possible. So one step back again. When you look at the energy future that we see, that we are building, that we are fighting for, there is one, I would say, tiny aspect that a lot of the people, especially or sadly in the environmental world, have totally overlooked. And that is the simple fact that the future is ruled by electricity from renewable sources. This will be the cheapest and the most abundant source. Because the other option that we have is very limited. The only source of hydrocarbon, so fuel, food, is nature, is the biosphere. And this amount of energy is very limited, and in terms of climate change, it will become even harder because the rain patterns and whatever will change, so agriculture will face additional problems. And it is our only long-term storage system. This is how you take energy from the summer to the winter, if you are in a country where it gets really cold. You have no other option today. We don't know how to store energy for those long periods of time in high quantities. So you can store biogas, in the current natural gas, caverns that you have to store that. This is possible. And so therefore, biomass has a very, very special purpose. We will get with, I think there's more computing power today in this room than universities had 30 years ago. When you look at the mobile phones, what they're capable of, incredible. We say we have the technology to operate the smart grid of the future. Communication is not the problem. Processing information is not the problem if we can keep the electricity system stable. And so this will work, and we add another one, and this is my main topic that I work on, the smart grid vehicle strategy. Integrate the vehicles into the system. Because what you get, just by natural coincidence, an electric vehicle cannot drive without a battery. Pure and simple. So if you get electric vehicles, you get batteries. And what can you do with batteries? You can stabilize the grid. So electric vehicles will play a very, very, very crucial part in the energy future, because they are the ones that provide the short-term 24-hour storage that can respond to changes in the electric grid not in minutes, but in milliseconds. And you can do all the fancy stuff that you want to do, and I don't go into detail.